What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled The Pitfalls When Trying to Escape Poverty. You know, when you come from a poor environment, you want to live better. You want to live in a better neighborhood. You want to live in a better place. You want to have a better life. But along the way, to get there are pitfalls. And sometimes people don't see them. And sometimes people don't talk about them. So some of you don't know what to look for, right? So there are certain things that can get you out of poverty, but there are certain traps that can throw you right back in. What I mean by that is, say, survival. The survivalist mindset. When you're in poverty, like if you don't know you're poor, that's usually a great thing, because you can just focus on whatever dreams and aspirations you have and just work. But when you come to the knowledge that you're poor, the things that you may have to do to survive, it may work in a short-term sense for your survival, but may kill you in a long-term sense for your ability to get out of poverty, And unfortunately, it's very hard to tell somebody to put off some things that they feel are important for their survival to make it to another day. Some days you may not eat, because you're poor. And if that happens too often, on instinct you might do something just to get something to eat. You might steal, and if you get caught stealing, you're gonna pay a cost far greater than someone who was born in a better financial situation than you. That's just the reality of it. That's a pitfall of it. And people don't address that a lot, but it is what it is. One of the pitfalls that you might face trying to escape poverty is your educational system, because the teachers in your area or at your school might not like your area, the other students, or you. So they might not be enthusiastic enough to actually do their job, and the kids might not be receptive to the teacher's energy of doing their job. So it might be a big mess. So the only way you can actually get a true education is by going to school and really busting your butt in the library and educating yourself. You got to be an avid reader. But one of the pitfalls is trusting, the educational system, and it's not built for you to be successful, and especially in the poor the neighborhood gets. That's just something that can happen. And then for those people who go to like school counselors, it's been a long time since I've done that. Some of your counselors might have a disdain for you as a human being, and they might try to push you into a direction that is conducive to keeping you poor as an adult, So sometimes you got to listen to what your counselor say with a grain of salt, like, all right, yeah, that's nice. I'm a dream bigger than that, and to be a jerk about it. I don't. Sometimes you got to look at your counselor like, what? If you were so good, you shouldn't be at this terrible school that you hate and in a job that you hate, telling me what I can't do. So I'll do something that you can't do. How about that? Sometimes you have to take that mentality. But that is a pitfall. One of the pitfalls of escaping poverty is policing. When you're in a poor neighborhood, you're not going to get treated with the same respect you are in a middle class or upper class neighborhood. So, when you're a kid, you're basically a suspect. It is what it is. Like a lot of these cops can't differentiate what criminals look like and what kids look like, or everybody's a gangster to them. Everybody, you fits the description. So unfortunately, things may happen to you that are unfair, that may cause you to have negative reactions in life that you can't afford to pay your way out of, because some people, sometimes in those poor neighborhoods, cops are looked at as bullies, people who couldn't bully people when they were young men or high schools or teenagers, so they got a badge and now they bully people. That's what people are viewed as. But you can differentiate the good ones from the bad ones. But a lot of times, when they deal with you in a poor neighborhood, people they're gonna treat you as such. You're younger, you're smaller, you're poorer, you're blacker. It's not a good combination. So they're gonna do whatever they can to bust you. It is what it is. So it's a pitfall, because whether you're living legally or illegally, there's a chance something might happen to you. Another thing is the poverty mindset. Because it's that scarcity mindset where people are scraping to get by, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you might be Peter. So every time you get a little something, somebody might take it from you, because, that's how people get down. And you may never get ahead, because you don't know how to keep your mouth shut if you got something. So if you got something in a poor neighborhood, don't tell nobody, don't show nobody. That makes you a target. That's a pitfall to escaping poverty. Another one is impulsive and bad spending habits. Sometimes, our dreams get us in a situation where we might get something, and like I said before, you want to feel like you've accomplished something, and the things you buy make you feel that way. But you don't know how to spend properly to get you up out of the poverty situation. You only know how to spend to get you into a good feeling situation. So inevitably, one of the pitfalls you got to get over is you. That's why you see people perpetually in a poor neighborhood, because they keep spending and spending and spending, and at the same time spinning their wheels in a rat race in the same spot, because they can't stop their own habits. Same thing goes for vices. Some of your vices can keep you in poverty. Now, the other thing that's a pitfall is when you're getting out of it. Like some people, you can graduate out of poverty. You work your way out of it. Your bad spending habits when you get out of, the poor, the lower class into the middle class. You're gonna spin yourself back into poverty, because now you want to get all the things you couldn't have before, and you're not cognizant of the fact that you're about to get played. You go from a small house to a super duper huge house just because. You don't need that. You go to, I'm gonna get the flies to the flies. You don't need that. You wind up overspending. A lot of people who get out of poverty wind up overspending and wind up back into poverty. And then you wind up hooking up with people who have that same mindset, and they wind up overspending your money, and then both of you wind up back in poverty, whether you're together or apart. One of the other things is, not giving yourself a break. Like sometimes a pitfall is when you get out of poverty, you're around people who have been working in the middle class environment or the upper class environment. So you're new. So you don't take the time to differentiate who's real and who's fake in that scenario. And you become a mark. And while you're so enthusiastic about not being in your past situation, you don't realize that people are preying on you in your present situation, and them preying on you, and you not being cognizant of that, they could rob you of everything and you'll be right back poor. You know, because for some odd reason people think that, you know, the sharks are only in the hood. No. You ain't big enough. Sharks eat. Sharks got to get big. The higher up you go, the more sharks you deal with. So if you're in a situation where you're looking around and everybody is looking at you because you just showed up, you're bait. Like, and unfortunately, men and women who come from poor situations don't realize when they step into the room that they're chum. You know, and so you got to fall back for a little bit and watch your surroundings. Keep your money to yourself. You know, don't invest in everybody. Don't get with everybody's business plan, because unfortunately, you know, people act like when you're in a poor environment, everybody has this great business idea. You're like, I'm not investing in that person. You know, but then when you get around rich people, you're like, oh, they made money. You know, I could work with them. No, you can't. No. They do the same exact thing. It's just they got way more money. They'll give you a business idea and bleed you dry and run off. The same exact way. It's just when they did it, they had a suit and a Rolex on and was driving a Benz. You got to be cognizant of that, because they will drive you right back into poverty. You know, and the other thing is trying to give people the life that you didn't have can drive you back into poverty. You know, you want your kids to be accustomed to a certain life, but at the same time you separate them from the past life you used to live. So now they don't respect your come up, and they can't deal with adversity because you spoiled them. So as you get older and they become adults, they can't fend for themselves, and they just bleeding you dry because you failed to raise them properly. And that's going to do what? Drive you into poverty, because they're going to have kids, and then you're going to have to take care of their kids. Why? Because you're going to realize, I really messed up with this child, and I can't afford to do this with this grandchild. You know. So these are pitfalls, and I hope y'all get something from it. We out.